to BTN Live. Basketball season is in full swing, so we're going to take you out to Bloomington, where Hoosier guard Yogi Ferrell joins us now. The Indiana Hoosiers have a big matchup against Notre Dame on December 19th, but they have to get through finals first. So how are those exams treating you, Yogi?
They're going great right now. Some of my teammates got finals coming up. We just got out of practice. Can't wait for this week to be over.
Are you one of those people that has to study, or do you just go in there and hope for the best?
Well, that always never works. Study hard, get good grades. So, you always got to prepare yourself before them and go in and rock them.
All right, Yogi, at Media Day this year, I asked almost every Big Ten player who is the hardest to guard in the conference. And almost every single one said Yogi Ferrell. So what makes you so hard to contain?
Well, I feel like what makes me so hard to contain is because of my teammates. I feel like I play on a great team with great shooters. And, the game is always going to give you something. Either going to take away my drive, my shooters are going to be open, or they're going to take away the shooters. I have the open lane. My mindset is basically just to push the ball, try and probe it, and, try and make my teammates look good.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, which Big Ten player is the hardest to guard?
The Big Ten, I say Karis LeVert. Just the way he knows how to find angles and score. He's a long guy, about 6'8", can shoot it, drive to the rim, and finishes very well.
All right, Yogi, you are 5'10", and 2 months ago you posted a video on Instagram of you dunking, and your teammates went crazy. When was the first time you realized that you could dunk the basketball?
The first time, well, I've only had one dunk ever playing in a game. I was high school my senior year. I felt good going down the court, went up, and just dunked it really. And, this summer I caught our strength coach slipping. I saw him, he wasn't coming up. So I just wanted to go up and see if I could get up there and do it. And, it felt good and went in.
And so where do the hops come from? Is that kind of strength something that you work on?
The hops just come from what we do each summer. We work on getting our vertical high with our strength coach, and, we do hot yoga sometimes as a team. So, that's just all with flexibility and, being in the weight room.
All right, I have to hear more about this hot yoga. Who is the most awkward doing the yoga?
The most awkward doing the yoga? I probably have to say OG, but, that's just OG's just awkward at doing everything, so... he's definitely a character. OG's probably you could say, funny guy on the team.
So we talked about your dunking and your size, but how do you view your height as an advantage on the basketball court?
I view my height as an advantage. I can get lower than a defender sometimes, going around them. Being sneaky, just, finding gaps, trying to get steals for my team. Defending, just, being low, being in the right spot at the right time. I'm small, so I'm quick, so I feel like, I can put pressure on the defense.
If you could play one-on-one with anybody in the world, who would it be?
One-on-one with anybody in the world, of course, it would be Steph Curry. He might make me look silly, but at the end of the day, it'd be fun to play against him.
Well, one win that you recently had was a career night last week against IPFW, scoring 38 points. What made that performance so special? What clicked for you?
My mindset was just to basically be on the attack since the jump ball. I wanted to go in and attack the rim very hard, find different ways, get to the foul line, get my touch right. And, I feel like that's what I wanted to do, and it worked.
Troy Williams has averaged 14 points and 13 rebounds in your past 2 games. When he gets into a rhythm, how dangerous can he be?
Man, he can be very dangerous. One thing that's great about Troy is he can get lost in the game. So you got to find him, especially on the offensive end. And, one thing that he's gotten better progressing throughout the entire season is his offensive rebounding. Rebounding in general. One night he had 19 rebounds. I didn't even know he had 19 rebounds. Now that I look back at it, he was all over the court for us. That just helps our team and gets extra shots for us.
Yogi, what is it like to be coached by Tom Crean?
Man, being coached by him is great. He's got a lot of energy. He definitely prepares us very well for each game. But, you know, he tries to get guys better, you know, in our development process, I feel like, each day. You know, he doesn't like to coach, you know, position players. He likes to coach basketball players. So, you know, sometimes he'll have, you know, Thomas be a guard, or he'll have Thomas guard a guard, just so, you know, when that time comes in the game and he gets switched onto a guard, he can be able to do that.
Lastly, you decided against going to the NBA, wanted to come back to Indiana this season. You said you wanted to leave a legacy. What do you want that legacy to be?
What I want that legacy to be is just me being a winner. You know, I've had a lot of ups and downs here in Indiana, wins and losses. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I wanted to go out and try and hang another banner in Assembly Hall.
All right, well, good luck against Notre Dame. And most importantly, good luck in your finals. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.